Right over here, right behind us.
Oh, I know.
I need a paper. The pen I could give you.
So first of all,
I didn't volunteer class. I came and then lucky to.
you need paper? Just grab a paper right there.
Yeah. I guess I need notes. You think I need? There's a kid. Don't worry.
Just grab one
Maybe
of
we
these
just won't take
books and
paper.
just-
Or you have a computer that you can take notes on your iPad.
Yeah, I could try
There's
that.
That's-
I want to listen. Anyway, maybe I'll do it this way.
Should I email it to you? Actually, we have a text over here. That's
Yeah.
Can I email it to you? Hold on, let me just get that to you. That's so cool, huh?
We're both you know what? We both go to the same show in
Yeah,
Chicago.
I'll post the link.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And
It
we're in
really is
touch, like,
crazy.
just right,
Judy,
awesome.
yeah.
Judy L. And we
L?
to check the L. Yeah, 2 L's. JUDYLL.
Okay.
AV like Valentine.
AV.
IN like Nancy.
IN.
At AOL.com.
Okay. Sent right over. Yes, so we do this class online, in case you're wondering.
Oh, so other people are joining in.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You do class online?
Oh, yeah.
Just like a live stream or like a recording.
No, there's a live stream. Let me show you. I'm just getting this on my...
You know what? I'm
Open in.
I'm at the Kabbalah Center, which is great.
So is he.
He is
Some of the people,
in
some of the people over here
I'm
in
at the Kabbalah
Boca Raton.
I'm gonna say you're frozen.
In Spot, I came and stayed there.
Oh, the Kabbalah Center. Kabbalah Center?
Whatever, Rabbi Reese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Where are you staying?
I'm staying at a hotel. I could have done it next time I come back. I think I'm just going to try and stay here and do this.
Oh, it's awesome.
Of course, yeah.
That's
I'm sorry, I'm not going to say anything.
No,
Anyways.
but the other is more touristy. I didn't really.
Yeah, here you get like a lot of learning and a lot of.
That's all I wanted.
So the people are joining in from over here from the
So
bottom.
you can hear us right now. So cool.
No, it's just about from Florida and a bunch of people from kind of like all over the world.
Right? Yeah.
No, it
no,
extends, yeah, and then there's like just people. Oh, okay, Zalman's telling me it's recorded. So, anyways, buy the book. No, this is my friend Zalman, who we my partner in this.
That's good, but I feel bad.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it, but I did like this. I did like it.
Okay, Zalman, can you stop recording for a second, and then we'll like re-record. You the man, Zalman. Steve, I see your fan. Go ahead, you're up. Don't tell me you're eating lunch right now. That's okay. It's okay. It's lunch and learn.
Lunch and learn. Oh, we do those in Chicago.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're hosting. Here we go. Okay, so welcome to Ascent and Experience Zohar. To this week's Parsha is Toldot, which talk about, before we go into the synopsis, talks about the birth of Isaac, the birth of Yitzchak, right? And basically the life of Yitzchak and the children that he had, which is Yaakov and Esav, and goes through the whole story, the famous story of Yaakov and Esav, etc. So let's take a look at the synopsis over here in the Zohar. Rabbi Chia leads us to an understanding of the relationship between the Creator and the Torah. We learn how the world is maintained by Torah study, and why it is man's supreme duty to continue this study. Rabbi Yitzchak and Rabbi Yehuda explain the significance of the forms of blessing from Avram to Yitzchak to Yaakov, in which all that has come before is. A second, it's hard for me to say over here. In whom all that has come before is manifested. So that's basically saying that through the blessing of Abraham to Isaac to Yaakov, there's a kind of like a trilogy, a Jewish trilogy of blessings. We learned that the true servants of the Creator are not only those from Israel, but anyone anywhere who's connected. So let's have a look over here. Did you get it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's let's go to the beginning over here. Ve'ele Toldot Yitzchak, and these are the offsprings of Yitzchak. And before it goes to the offsprings of Yitzchak, it says that Avram gave, fathered Yitzchak, and Yitzchak is the son of Avraham, right? And all the commentaries ask, what's the deal over here? Why does it say that Yitzchak is the son of Avraham, and then it says Avram is the father of Yitzchak? It's obvious. If he's the son of him, obviously he's the father, right? And there's all types of explanations that are given. One explanation, before we take a look at what the Zohar says, one explanation is that Avraham had to connect with the opposite effect which Yitzchak manifested. In other words, Avram represents the side of mercy, and Yitzchak represents the side of judgments, of intensity. And they represented polar extremes. So it says that we would think that Avram and Yitzchak are two distinct individuals that are completely unrelated. But the Torah tells us that Avram fathered Yitzchak, and Yitzchak was a son of Avram. That although they're so different in their nature, they have much more in common. That in effect, for a person to be complete, he has to actually go to a certain, he or she has to come to an awareness of what is difficult for them, like the things that are really like almost the opposite of what their inborn nature is to do. So that's what it says. Avram fathered Yitzchak, and Yitzchak was the father of Avraham, because they needed each other in order to complete themselves. And just by the way, and then we have Jacob. We have Yaakov. He's kind of like a combination of the two. He has the chesed, the kindness of Avraham, right? That's the way he acts. He's kind of like a merciful individual, but on the other hand, he's very firm, and so he has the intensity of Yitzchak as well. So these two polar extremes came together to produce a person, right, who's perfect, right? And by the way, who are we called? We're called the children of Yisrael, Bnei Yisrael. Who's Yisrael? That's Jacob. And right, so we're not either Avraham and we're not either Yitzchak. We are a balance. So the Jewish people are constantly balancing between the side of mercy and the side of firmness and discipline, etc. So let's take a look at what the Zohar says. How the Zohar takes this pasuk and kind of like looks at it from the mystical point of view. So you can understand again the Torah from 4 different levels. The basic level is the story that we said, right? Avraham was the father of Yitzchak. Yitzchak was his son. Good. But then you remain with the question, why does it say that? So on a deeper level, more of an allegorical level, it represents what I mentioned before, that Avram is the side of mercy and Yitzchak is the side of judgment. On a deeper level still, right, we could interpret it right on a higher scale, and that's what the Zohar does. The Zohar is kind of like talking takes the verses of the Torah, and it explains it on the mystical side from that point of view, and that's what the Zohar does. So it's very and we may ask, well, why do we have to study the Zohar, and what is it going to do for us really? So the importance of studying Zohar and the inner parts of Torah is to know that actually the Torah is not just a nice book, and there's many nice books in the world, but the Torah is a code of living, and it's connected to the divine, and it channels energy and holiness and everything by the study of it, right? So that's mostly on the realm of the secret, of the mystical aspects of the Torah. Whereas on the simple understanding of Torah, you could appreciate the simple understanding of Torah, and there's other books of wisdom in the world that that are also wise, right? But when we go and we understand the holiness of Torah, which is actually much more palpable when a person studies the inner dimension of Torah, then it actually awakens a person to have a relationship with the divine, with God, who's the giver of the Torah. So then you understand also the simple understanding of Torah on a different basis, on a different level. And you realize that it's not just intellectual, but it's actually it's all spiritual. Even the base understandings are all connected to the deeper mystical understandings of it. So let's take a look at what the pasuk says over here. So Patach Rabbi Chia. So Rabbi Chia opens up, right? So by the way, why does the Zohar say open up? It's very interesting that the Talmud always says, come and hear. And the Zohar says, come and see. And before it says that, many times, or in different places, it says that the rabbi, the mystic, whoever is speaking over here, is opening up, because they're opening up a revelation that has been closed up until then. Right? So there's an opening of revelation within the Zohar right now. So that's what's happening here. So Patach Rabbi Chia opened up the Amar, and he said, Mi malel gvurot Hashem, who can utter the mighty acts of Hashem, Yashmiya kol tehilato. Who can, or another question mark, who can declare all of his praise? And where's this verse from? It's from Tehillim, from Psalms 106, where King David says, who could speak the greatness of God? Who's able to recount God's mighty acts? Could somebody list it? Nobody could really list. We could list some of God's amazing wonders of creation, perfection, etc. But right, so we can't praise him. It's unlimited. So that's what King David says. So Rabbi Chia comes and he says, Ta'chazi, come and see, Ba'a kuchabrichu uvesalek bereuta kamei. So the Holy One, blessed be He, wished to create the world. He did so according to the Torah. And every act that the Holy One, blessed be He, used to create the world was done according to the Torah. This is the meaning that the verse says, then I was by him as a nursing maid, and I was daily his delight. That's what it says in in Mishlei, Proverbs. So read the verse in Hebrew regarding the Torah. It says that the Torah was God's delight. V'yeh shashuin, v'yeh etzlo amon. That the Torah was by God as a amon is like that. Where does amon come from? Before we explain, amon comes from the word emunah, right? And it also comes from the word art in Hebrew, omanut, right? So the word for, and also the third explanation of that is that it's a nurse, or specifically a nurse that cares for a child after the child has been born. It's almost like a nurse in the olden days. If a mother didn't want a nurse, right, what would they do? They can't buy Gerber or Similac or stuff like that. So you used to hire a woman that was already nursing and do it that way. That was the common practice. So yeah, so that's called. So that type of a woman is called omenet. So she's actually tending to the child, but more than tending to the child, she's actually nourishing the child, doing the job of the parent, of the mother, right? So the word emunah comes from relate to three different things. They relate to they have to do with belief, right? Art, and also tending to a child. So how do they all go hand in hand? And how do they relate to, right? Emun, the etymology is amen, by the way, right? So how do they all relate to each other? So emunah, what is belief in God? Belief in God is it knowledge? It's not knowledge. It's beyond knowledge. It's super conscious, right? Because knowledge is basically what science could give to us and give us the facts, right? All the facts are there, but to go beyond those facts and to say the human body just works perfectly and everything is so amazing. So to come to know that it was the creator of the world, there's God. There's a God in the world, right? Or you take even Darwin, for example, with the eyeball, he could explain everything, right, in evolution, but he couldn't explain the human eye. Where does that come from, right? But to go that step further, a scientist is reluctant. Why? Because the scientist works on empirical evidence, on knowledge, right, on intelligence, right, on human intelligence. But emunah is taking that jump, but there's two levels of taking that jump. One is, well, the human body is amazing and it's perfect, and the world is just, it just baffles the mind how everything works, right? All the levels of creation, the depth of creation, and life, and human life, and plant life, and right, the cosmos, etc., right, marine life, it's unfathomable. So to know that there's a creator, you have to go beyond intelligence, but beyond human intelligence, right? And you understand that there's a creator. But even that is not really emunah. That's actually, if you think about it, it's actually knowledge of God. It actually makes sense, to anybody who's just not like completely closed. The belief, I'm using the word belief, or the knowledge of a creator is kind of obvious, right? But then what's emunah? Emunah is actually going and knowing that God is beyond what I ever imagined God to be. That God could make anything happen. That beyond what I think God is, just like the table can never understand the creator of the table, so too we can't fathom the creation of the creator. So that's emunah. Now, what is art? Right? Art, is it something that you understand? It's not something you understand. Right? If you're gonna measure out every triangle and you're gonna, right, so then you're not doing it. You're not really expressing yourself. So the expression aspect is going beyond yourself, going beyond the person. And then the idea of a nurse, right? Somebody who tends. So Oman is the child has no idea where this milk is coming from. It's just coming from a place beyond.
They don't even care.
They don't care. They're just getting this nourishment. So it's a nourishment that's coming from a place beyond the child. Doesn't have no idea. So it says this. Now the Torah, it says was by God, was cradled by God, as again the verse is, then I was by him as a nurse, and I was daily his delight. In other words, that the Torah is interconnected with God as a child with a nurse, right? That's nursing. So don't read nurse, rather read uman, which is emunah. Now it's kind of deep stuff over here. And Rabbi Chia, all of a sudden he opened up, and we're talking about Isaac and Abraham, and all of a sudden he's going, whoa, he's talking about the Torah, and the Torah is being cradled by right, and it's likened to a nurse. What's happening over here? So let's keep on going to the second paragraph. So when he wanted to create man, the Torah said to him, if man is created, the Torah said, he will sin, and you will punish him. Would not your handiwork then be in vain? After all, he will not be able to endure punishment. So the Torah is like, okay, you're about to create man, but like, are you sure you want to do that? Because what could happen is that they'll sin. They'll go against your will. So the Holy One, blessed be He, replied, like the Zohar says. I'm going to read some in Hebrew and some in English. Amar le kuchabrichu ha atik at kenat teshuva, that I have created teshuva. Ad lo barati alma, before I created the world. Amar kuchabrichu la'alma, God said to the world that the teshuva preceded the world. So although God gave the Torah, and the Torah is the blueprint of basically of creation. It's called almost what God is using to give over to the world as a nurse does. But so the Torah is kind of like worried. Well, what's going to happen when they don't do your will? God says, don't worry about it, because I already built in a mechanism of teshuvah before the world was created. Amar kucha brichu la'alma. B'shata David lay, at the time when I created it, uvar la'adam. Amar lo alma alma. So he said to it, God, it's as if God says to the world, world, you and your nature are based solely upon the Torah. And for that reason, I created man in you to be occupied with the study of Torah. And if he does not study the Torah, I'll return you to chaos. Everything is for man, right? This is the meaning of the verse. I've made the earth. So the verse is like, Anochi asiti eretz, I've created the earth, the Adam aleh barati, and man I have created upon the earth. Now it's interesting. Now that verse is saying that really, why was the world created? The world was created for man, and right. And what's the idea of man? With the Adam and Eve, Adam and Chava. Why were they created? It was essentially created for them, in order that they should recognize God. Right. Because, by the way, when do we celebrate Rosh Hashanah, on the birthday of the world, or is it something else? It's actually the birthday of man. So it's the 6th day of creation, really. The world was created on the 25th day of Elul, Chaf Hei Elul, and 6 days later was the 1st of Tishrei. That's when man was created, right? So we celebrate the creation of the world, the Rosh Hashanah, by the creation of man. Why? Because when Adam was born, right? When he was created, when he came from the earth, that's what it's called Adam, from the Adamah. So then he basically, there was a reason for the 6 days of creation. All 6 days of creation had a retroactively had a reason for being created, and that is to recognize who is their creator, and their creator is God. So up until then, it's like almost they didn't have this consciousness. Each day brought about like another aspect of creation. But when Adam was created, so then Adam brought in the godly consciousness within them, which caused them to really have an existence, a real existence. So that's what the verse says, that I've created the earth, and man upon it I created. So, by the way, the gematria, the numerology of Barati, is 613. So if we take the numerology of Barati, that word over there, that once again the verse says, I have created the land, and man upon it I made the earth, and man upon it I created. Created is in Hebrew Barati, right? So the gematria of Barati, the numerology of Barati, if we take the bet is 2, and the resh is 200, and the aleph is 1, and the taf is 400, and the yud is 10, and we put them all together, we add them all up, we get 613.
Wow.
So I've made the earth, and man upon it I created. And the whole purpose, really, the inner reason of being created is the fulfillment of the 613, which draw down godliness into the world, and that's the inner point of creation. Why God created the world. So over here, and the Torah proclaims to men and to females, right? To men to be occupied. When it says over here, b'nei nasha, it's actually to people, occupied with an endeavor in the study of Torah, but no one lends an ear. That's what the Zohar says. That God is calling out. I created the world. I created it. And I want you to be occupied, to be connected to me through the Torah, but nobody's paying attention. Nobody's lending an ear. They're all just going about their business, and not listening, not hearkening. Love that word.
Funny.
Yeah.
Say that in England.
Yeah.
Somehow watching you say that, like, hearkening.
Doesn't fit.
Not here. No.
No. It's from some like
It's English.
chumash or something. Like
Hearkening?
old, one of those.
It's
Hertz. No, I'm saying translation.
Yeah, right. It's
Yeah.
It's a great word, though. I like it.
Hearkened. I hearkened. Did you hearken today?
I know, it's funny.
Son, have you been hearkening?
Funny.
Okay.
That's good.
It's funny.
So God is saying nobody's hearkening to me. So come and behold. The Zohar says, whoever studies the Torah sustains the world and properly sustains every act in the world. There is no part within man that does not have a counterpart creation within the world. Now, this is very, very interesting. You know that not just spiritually, but let's start with that. So we have what goes on within us has an effect on the rest of the world, right? And something that we have to believe, that we know that things are not just random, right? But by acting in a certain way, that has an effect upon the world around us, right? Immediate surroundings as well as globally, right? We know something from there's something called the butterfly theory, where a little butterfly starts off right on the coast of Africa, and just amazing things, ripples, right, are caused by that in the ocean, and then you have like a tornado on the other side of the world. So something small that a person does has great effects, right? Any mitzvah, right? Like lighting of Shabbos candles and doing those kind of things, so those have a global effect upon the rest of the world, right? Even by the way, if you're not married, you just lighting the Shabbos candles brings down light to the rest of the world, like an immense amount of light, and right. So yeah, it's a very, very powerful.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful mitzvah to add light upon the world.
Before sunset, I guess. Yeah.
Before, so yeah, especially nowadays, this week, what's going on in the world. We have to bring in more and more light. Study the Zohar, light Shabbos candles, and just.
There's a lot of ways, though.
There's a lot of ways. I'm just thinking.
Light other ways.
No, but lighting the candles are so easy.
It's literally light. Yeah.
It's one of the 3 commandments for a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, why would
so
you
powerful.
When somebody nudges me, I'll do it. I've done other ways. I send a good message to people and appreciating them. And that sends good vibes to the rest of the week.
Well, that's important too, but this is a very powerful one.
Right.
It's so easy. You light them and before Shabbos, you're done.
Are huge.
Huge.
Anyways, we studied it from last week's Parsha about Rivka. Rivka was only 3 years old when she started lighting Shabbos candles. So we learned from there that, and even from the age of 3, even from there. In other words, like
you do it. Yeah.
Anyway, but that's but the idea of it is so significant, because the little candle just has this like huge effect.
In every spiritual practice, they do candles because they know people who are connected spiritually know the importance of bringing that light in. And for us, because of our DNA as a woman, Jewish woman, because of our DNA and what God's given us, we only have 3 commandments to do that. It's not like taking a mikvah, which is a wonderful thing too, but it's so easy. You do it for 2 seconds. You bring in the male and female energies of God who marry in your body, and then go out to the world, and you don't have to do one other thing. Once a week, you bring that energy. He just needs your body. He needs your body. He needs your body. So the fact is, that's what it's about. And if that little mitzvah, you could do all the rest. They all take more effort. That little mitzvah before Friday night, that we can't do that.
I'll go for the challenge, though. For me, I feel better about the challenge. The challenge is
whatever it is. Just
and by the way, the prayer,
people being killed.
The prayers also that go on at that time are like the prayers.
And then it gives you blessings in your family and what you want. I mean, it's like such a huge win for such a little thing when the world is in such trouble. I feel that every Jewish woman, this is you do nothing else. You just do that. I mean,
my stepmother is real into it. she'll like freak out. She's like, I can't wait.
Because she, thank God, whether she
She'll
does
drive back
other,
to the office.
well, that, I don't even care about that. That's a separate level of observance.
It's funny.
But that's for observance. It doesn't mean you have to, it just means bring in that light then, like God do his thing in your body. Because if you don't do that, the male and female energy opportunity is lost for that week for the world. That is how powerful Jewish women are. I'm telling you, I've had visits from God, and I can tell you, and that's with another person, craziest things. This is one of the most powerful things you can do as a person. That's it. I'm done now.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. It's important.
So this exactly is what we're studying about. So the power of any mitzvah, but I mean, mitzvahs like of that magnitude for certainly. So he says over here that the composite of the 600 and 248 parts of limbs and 365 sinews within the body, which correspond, right?
365.
Yeah, corresponds to the din, right? Sinews, yeah, which correspond together. 365 and 248 is 613. So, but the Zohar, we're going to read that. We're going to read this in a second. The Zohar says that every part of the soul, every part spiritually within a person has an effect upon the world. Why? Because man, right, male and female, is why God created the world, in order to bring that kind of light and spirituality within the physical world. So that means that the spiritually, all the compartments of spirituality relate to the world. So it's really very simple. It's like, also we say Hashem Echad, that God is one, and that unity, the idea of God is one, is like there's no separation between the physical world. And that's why, by the way, we close our eyes, because again, that goes to the level of emunah, because we're like, no, it's not just what I see. I see a tree, I see a table, I see that. It's that physically and spiritually everything is enmeshed, everything is really one. So let's see what now how the Zohar brings this down. So come and behold, whoever studies the Torah sustains the world and properly sustains every act in the world. There is no part within man that does not have a counterpart creature, it says, in the world, which translation of that that there's some sort of an effect upon the world in some part of the world. And we know that actually when a person reaches a certain place, they have, for example, where they live, they have an effect on that place, right? And they're able to uplift that place, and by residing in their room, in their house, and in their city, in their right, you're an active participant. You're not just living and just closing the doors, and but you have actually an effect on the entire block, whether you know it or not, right? Hopefully positive one. So the Zohar is now teaching how to do that, right? So the Holy One, blessed be He, so just as the body of man is composed of levels of parts that act together to form a unified body, so is the world. All the creatures in the world are all there's a whole hierarchy of parts that act on and react within each other, right? So it's unbelievable, the whole hierarchy that's going on within the world. It's that we see and that we don't see, right? It's
that's
beyond.
That's why communism and organizations like that fail. You realize why? Because it naturally goes, as above is below. There are hierarchies above. And so every time, it's the evil inclination when they want everything equal. because it goes against what I'm using the word karma, but if you can't have this world be equal because God is not equal. Different angels are different levels. People are now different levels. You can't work much. So it's evil. So every time they go for socialism, karma sounds nice, but that's evil because it goes right against God and against the upper world. You see what I'm saying? God cannot come into a world. You can't
force that structure.
It can't be.
Right.
It's not.
Without the right. So then
it comes into an icky type of separation of divisions where it's very horrible for other people. That's why you have to have capitalism and stuff like that. I mean, it sounds funny. I'm not talking about financial. I'm talking people have to have a way, and there may be ways to do it, to get up, because that's part of the neshama thing, and it matches the upper world. Yeah. So communism can never work. That's why even the kibbutz system failed. Right. Can't work. It's against God. People don't realize it, and Jews realize it less because half of them are so mixed up. But not no less, but a lot less, it seems, because they want everything nice. It's like the nice side gets out of balance. You got to be nice, but nice isn't bad. It's interesting. Sorry.
No. They once
dialogue is good.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, definitely. We have. They once asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, which system is the best system. So he said that the Torah is the truth, the emes, and it actually brings about the best of all systems. Right. So democracy, capitalism is not necessarily all perfect.
No,
it's not perfect. And communism is not completely bad. There's certain aspects of it which are good. Right.
But it can't be.
Right. Exactly. So the Torah draws from the good of all parts. Right.
And that's what Israel, even more interestingly, is evolving into. So it started with the more socialist, and now it's going to more capitalist. And what I believe is going to shake down into a system that matches
Torah.
God, Torah.
Yeah. It has to. That's what it's called. Israel. Israel is.
That's what's happening. That's what we're seeing the evolution of. Because I know people trying to bring more capitalism here, not total. And I know some of the socialisms, but not. I don't want to say whatever it is. It's going. I was thinking about this a few weeks ago. It's going to shake down to that. Be interesting, and then God's going to have another way to enter. He keeps entering.
Mm-hmm.
It's really amazing, isn't it? We're so lucky we're living now. Even though it's a hard time, we're so lucky. Yeah. This stuff's going to disappear. This bad stuff's going to go away.
We need to change something.
Well,
you're going to same thing.
You're going to do candles, and you're going to not realize what a huge change.
I'm going to have conversations with people and share my story. That's what I'm going to do.
That's a good.
Why can't you do both?
Both.
I don't know. I see more power.
God gave you 3 commandments.
Yeah.
Not even asking you to do the other 2.
You can have better. You can have better conversations by lighting Shabbos
This
candles.
is the Jewish rebel.
You could have conversation. Teach them to light Shabbos candles.
You should.
I'm not talking about. But the thing when I say I'm gonna have conversations, I'm having conversations with people who are posting really pretty anti-Semitic stuff on Facebook. Or people who are buying into other people's.
You know how you do that. You don't even reply because you're not gonna change their opinion.
But like having that mentality also doesn't help either. It's not going to hate because if we don't have dialogue, then for sure there's no winning. But if you have a conversation, there's at least some chance.
I'm going to tell you something. I used to think that too, and I'm not saying not to do. You can do that's fine. It's good. But if God can work through the body, and God, who is the person who wrote God meets the Jewish bodies? But I've seen he does. The Alter Rebbe, and there was a more recent guy in the '60s. He wrote about Shabbat. You know his name. He's a big. He died in the '60s.
Okay.
Anyway, I can't think of his name. Anyway, he was not. I can't think of his name. I don't know why he's famous. Anyway, but the Alter Rebbe, but God needs anyone you see this. If you have this vision or something happens, He needs the Jewish bodies. We're made that way. We're there, and therefore He comes through us if we do certain acts, certain
physical mitzvah.
Mitzvah or rituals, and that
physical mitzvah.
Physical rituals.
It brings it down to the world.
Brings it, and that's what I keep saying about those candles. That's why he needs you to do it. He wouldn't make it one of the 3
But you tell my friends who are not in the Jewish community to light candles, they're not going to listen. That's not how you bring people in. And then you lose people more then.
Your friends in the Jewish community can come to my house and I'll explain to them cosmic energy. And
how do you get them the door? That's like Jewish.
I don't care. Just you light the candles, and then God.
Social engagement.
But that's how the energy comes through you, and then God, by you just breathing and being in a place like on your block or anywhere, He invisibly. That's how the Jews get saved. He invisibly works His magic.
There's more than one way to do it.
I'm not saying not to do the other, but what I'm saying is that what I'm trying to explain. Don't not do the other. Do the other. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is
you'll be able to do the other better.
Maybe
one day. I don't know, right?
What I'm saying is know that these rituals or even this little thing is the hugest thing you can do, because no matter how much you talk or I talk or you talk, when God does His magic through your body without you knowing it to other people, you could stand. It took me a long time to get this concept, but I've seen it now. Done. You can stand there, and the energy changes. You can get to a point you can contemplate on a few letters in His name, ask for the permission to do that. You can watch arguments disappear, and you're sitting there silent, and they don't know what's happening. And I have done that through God's name. I've done it without. So what I'm saying is, once you bring that energy in your body, it's limitless. The other stuff you can do too. I think it's good. I'm not saying not to. What I'm saying, you're exponentially adding to your own personal power and the power of the world with breathing. Saying a prayer, and
there'll be candles here tomorrow.
It's true.
So.
It's like, and it's true. And you know what else? Maybe you're the one who's supposed to hear this, so you're going to get it to your friends once you see the magic happen. And you know what else? It's like tefillin. You put it in. You're putting that energy in your chakra system. You're saying a prayer, not for women. You're saying prayer, and you're good to go. Or mezuzot. This is it. It's nothing. Put it up. You're in better shape, and God comes in. That's it. And then do the rest of the stuff. Don't stop.
For sure.
Anyway, I'm done. I don't want to. I get so hopped on this stuff though, because I think it's so.
That's good. Passion.
It's so I believe me on this. I'm endless. So go ahead, but I'm taking away from this class. Go.
You're not.
I'm learning. This is good teaching.
This is
the best teacher learns from their students or something. There's something like that. So we have to go by. It's true.
And this is an important thing you're learning too. It's very good. So important energy, so important.
So much evil right here.
I wish I had one.
He's like, how do we go in? I'll tell you.
On your heart chart.
Okay.
I want one of those.
So everything, whether it be man or the world, resembles the Torah, because the Torah is made of different parts and sections that support each other. When they are all correct, they will become as one body. So what is the Zohar saying over here? Saying that when a person studies the Torah, they're bringing the Torah within themselves, right? I'm studying the many facets of Torah, right? We could just look at this library, for example, and it's just like a fraction of the amount of books that there are, right? When a person takes any one of these books that correspond to 4 different types of levels, right? So they bring really the infinite into them. They take another book, it's a different part of it, and a different part of it, and so on and so forth. So all those parts complement each other, and just as they complement each other, that actually brings up the different aspects of the world.
Wait a second. So let me get this straight. If you physically
let me explain it.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So just as there are different components, right, of the Torah, and by the study of those parts, right, and the application of those parts, right, so that unifies all those parts into being a holistic whole, right, one. So then that causes the Torah to be one. Therefore it causes the entire world to be one, right? It causes all parts of the world to be one. And we know that there are different tzaddikim, different great, holy individuals, men and women, that perform miracles. Now, what's a miracle? Miracle is really nature is not just nature. That God could work within nature, which is nature is the name of Elokim. Elokim means God's name, the way he works within nature. And a miracle is associated with Shem Havaya, Shem, name of God, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei. And when that name is used, the above nature, so then, like anything's possible. The physical is not just physical, and right, tzaddik, like there's stories of the Baal Shem Tov that he used to, actually go have kfitza saderach, which means he used to just jump great distances and instantaneously, right? By the way, right, that. But there's tzaddikim upon tzaddikim that basically, nature did not, walls and nature did not apply to them, right? So
he wasn't even on the Holy Land of Baal Shem Tov.
He wanted to come to Israel.
He could manage it without the ground, right? Without the land, just with the Torah himself.
Right.
It's really
we had the Baal Shem Tov had not Elijah, not Eliyahu Navi teach him, but he had the teacher of Elijah, who was Achia HaShelomi. So he taught the Baal Shem Tov. I mean, it's a tradition. The Baal Shem Tov basically in Tzfat, and it was in Tzfat, so we know that Tzfat is the Kabbalistic city. And why is it the Kabbalah? So Tzfat is Moshe Sofer overlooks the Rashbi, to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in Meron. That's right. So the Kabbalists came here for that, right? So there was a continuation of the Zohar of Rashbi within the Arizal, teachings of the Arizal. And then after that, right, that continued with the Hasidic movement, with the Baal Shem Tov, specifically in Russia, right? So this wisdom of the Arizal and really Tzfat, and there's a whole story of how the Baal Shem Tov soul actually came from Tzfat. Yeah, it's just a story. Maybe I'll share with you. I'll leave that for Rabbi Reese.
I don't know if he'll tell me.
I think it's actually, I think it's written over there. Ask him.
The Baal Shem Tov?
The Baal Shem Tov soul in Tzfat.
I will.
Okay. So, so we know that by the Baal Shem Tov, miracles were happening right and left. Right? There's stories upon stories of the Baal Shem Tov, right? So we know if they say that if a person believes them all, then he's naive, right? And if he doesn't believe any of them, so then he's a heretic, right? So they're, some of them are exaggerating, but there's, they don't say these stories about, you or me, so it's, no. So if you believe them all, no, there's stories that have a tradition to them, that have like a valid tradition to them. For example, the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe's father-in-law, right, was very big into collecting like real stories and used to write them down. He was an author, and he wrote down like accepted stories which were given over from generation to generation. He wrote them down. So there are those stories of the Baal Shem Tov that are like really clear, right? But some of them are,
insane. Okay.
Yeah,
that can happen.
Yeah. I was just, I was going to say before, I was mentioned that they say that Marvel comic book, right?
Oh, it's all the Bible, right?
It was Marvel he was a Jewish guy, and he grew up in like a Hasidic, like hearing Hasidic stories.
Yeah.
So when you think about a superhero coming to save you, right? Superman, spy, so he grew up on like the Kotzker Rebbe, or the Rebbe Nachman, or the Alter Rebbe, and the Baal Shem Tov, and these Rebbe Levi Yitzchak Aberditchev, and all these tzaddikim that they were, at the time, in Russia and the Shtet, you say over the stories of tzaddikim, it's just like, wow. So he was this creative guy, and he put it out. So think about it. I mean, that gave generations of Americans, and not just Americans, the rest of the world, to be like, oh wow, superhero, somebody that's good, on the side of good, that helps people. Like that came from Hasidic stories.
A lot of it's the Bible. I heard there was like a connection. Like it was like basically a lot of the stories are based in the Bible, which plays great. Wasn't there like a Moses story and like one of the?
Well,
I read something about that.
A lot of the stories from the Bible, by the way, let's say the Tanakh, great tzaddikim from the Tanakh, Shmuel and Elijah and Elisha and all the prophets that are going on, they're doing miracles right now. If you read the Tanakh, it's like incredible.
But I'm saying they actually brought stories into the comic books.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Like I heard the Moses story was like the story of something about one of the stories was the beginning was like something about like a river and like galaxies, but it was exactly the same story.
Coming from the other side of the galaxy, that's Superman
or something. One of the stories, exactly the birth story is the story of Moses, and it was like exactly like it was
right. And he came from the other world, and he came down to this world.
That's what I'm saying. Because it's like, hey, but like this will bring it to the masses.
Right. Superman,
yeah. Superman, I don't know, but
yeah.
That's how you bring it to like people.
What's kryptonite is like the negative for.
Christians who believe that Jews we do come from a different place. But there was actually a thing I read that they're dropped into. It's very Supermanish, but they get the idea that we're different.
Yeah.
We are in a good way. Maybe they don't think it's good. They might be jealous. Whatever their issue was. But at first I thought it was horrible. Then when I learned this stuff, I went, yeah, maybe they weren't so off. So anyway,
with all these things, with all these like let's say like the reinvention of like the Torah into like a comic book,
right?
With all those things, it's like makes me think, well, wait a second, all this is okay. Then people will always say like everything's Torah, really, but then it's like, well, why do you have to learn it? Like let's say like what we're doing, which is very straight up, like here's the Torah. Like
no.
There's a million ways to do it.
That's
it might be packaged as something else or a self-help book.
One second. Good question. But how do you know what to package? He grew up, the guy from Marvel, hearing Hasidic stories. So he was able to take it and whatever. That was his, I guess, contribution to the world, right?
Yeah.
Which is great, right? Because it's inspiring people. But these people are growing up on an analogy. So what's the difference between an analogy and the actual thing itself? So 1 second. So I would like to give you an analogy of,
like a story
of this window, right? So I would now describe, I don't know, something that has light and it's opaque and whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Open, like it could be closed. I don't know, something complex.
Maybe it's not the best because that's.
I get it. There's an analogy.
That's describing something to you, right? Or let's say somebody never saw light, never saw color. Somebody's colorblind. Now you're describing to them what the color red looks like. Or somebody that can't smell, you describe to them what it smells like. So now they hear about it, but they never saw the actual thing, right? Or you visit a certain place and you tell somebody what it looked like. They weren't there. They're growing up hearing about it. So it's the same thing with this guy from Martin, right? So he's giving over, transmitting something, but it's a step removed. So why should a person be fed step removed information?
Because they might not go to the first step in the first place.
No. If they don't know anything else, good. But why should you? Not just saying you. I'm saying in general. Why should people suffice with eating like, second class, spiritual food? Right? Or you could go to the spiritual source.
Food. They might just go for the bacon.
No. So 1 second. You know what happens? You can't exist.
That's right.
You can't
exist.
Okay, you could exist physically, but are you really existing? You're existing as a
shell.
As a shell, as a negative, right? Unfortunately, right? So why would you want to do that?
But then you're making that judgment on somebody else. But
no,
there's only one person that can judge, right?
No.
You're making that. You're saying that they're like
So
we don't know what they're doing.
Hold on. If people are spiritually deprived, people are not spiritual people. Is it? Let's just logically. I'm not making a judgment. I'm just saying logically. Is it possible for them to be really fulfilled? I'm just saying really fulfilled. Could a person be really fulfilled without being spiritual, without adding a higher dimension in their lives?
But that is a judgment.
I'm asking.
No, it's
logically, does that make sense?
I can't say that for somebody else though.
I'm asking logically. So let's work through it logically.
But it's kind of like the analogy. You have to know a person before you can even say that the possibility for them.
No, it's not the same. If you take a sharp knife, let's see if this is a judgment. We're going to talk about that. You take a sharp knife and you cut your finger, will that person bleed?
No, you.
If you take, no, you
cut their finger?
Will the person, if someone takes a sharp knife and cuts their finger, will they bleed?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a judgment?
That's fact, like we said earlier.
Okay. So now we're talking spiritual fact. We're talking about what goes on in a human being's soul, just like a knife. The knife, if you don't take the knife to cut if you don't cut your finger, what happens with that knife? If you have the knife,
you still have the
cut
knife.
your hand.
Oh, yeah.
What happens to your hand? You cut it deep.
Yeah,
you bleed or razor. You have the knife. You have the knife. You don't cut your hand. What happens to your hand?
It's fine.
Right, it doesn't bleed.
Okay.
All right, so here's the analogy. The knife, I don't know if I can do this right. It's a hostile element, but it shouldn't be hostile. All
right, go for it. Just go for it. Just trust
part of your spirituality. Oh no, I have a better one. No wait. If you have a glass, if here's your water and here's your glass. If you pour water into the glass, say this big, what happens? You have half a glass of water, right?
Okay.
If you pour water in this big, you have half a glass of water. You have a full glass of water. If you pour in this much, you have a little glass of water. If you don't pour any water in the glass, what do you have? You have an empty glass. So a person's body is that glass, and the water is the spirituality. So what happens to a person who doesn't have the water, decides they don't want to, not drink, we're talking about pouring, we're not going to get into thirst. They don't pour it they don't pour it. They are afraid of it. They're rebelling against it.
Well, they're rebelling against it.
No, I'm not talking about why. I'm talking about two concepts, water and the glass. For whatever their mishigas is, they're not taking what's good for them.
They're not engaged.
Well, okay, say they're not engaged. The spirituality is over here. This is the spirituality with God. It's there. The glass is here. Is the glass going to get full if they don't pour the water in? No. And the rituals are that get you to the water. These are the steps, the things we're doing in Torah.
But you can't offer that up front for everybody because it's not going to work.
They don't have to. When I say it doesn't work.
Well, it's like going for something.
No, it's if you walk into a room and you don't turn on the light doesn't go on, and then you complain there's no light.
I hear. I don't know. How old are you, by the way?
I don't know how to say.
How old do you think? Take a guess.
20.
23.
23. Okay, close. So I'll tell you, I was probably I was different than 20, but I'm saying when
Hello.
Yes. Yeah.
It's Tully. Hi, it's Tully, but I'm not able to. Zoom keeps on moving me forward. I can't get into it through Zoom. Maybe anybody there that can help me. So that's why I called.
I don't want to start.
I'm not sure, but I hear you, Tali.
Where's you?
I can't get in through Zoom.
Okay.
Go.
You can't get into Zoom. So what are you going to I'm not sure why.
Yeah, because when I hit the Zoom, they jump from the ID number. They don't give me an opportunity to get into the class. And I didn't have that trouble last time. So
what happens to people when they're not? I see it in my age. If they don't get it,
Tap in different ways.
No.
You can't start with like this.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Tali. I'm not sure why.
They don't.
All right. Well, then I'll just have to get. I guess I'll just have to listen. And I'll try it again to get on.
Okay. Very good. So, so we're kind of like putting things together over here, and we're having like really great conversations over here in Ascent. So you guys are live over here. Or maybe you need to reboot your computer, Steve says. Tali.
I'm using my iPad, so I'll try it on the computer.
Oh, by the way, you can get the app for it.
Yeah, but that's the issue.
I'm on an app, and it's great. You should download the app.
Okay, I'll download the app. Okay,
it's incredible.
Okay. Meanwhile, as I'm listening, I'll work on.
I'm on the app. I'm on the iPad myself.
Oh, okay. So
all right,
and
awesome.
I was
So
on
we're
the
putting this
iPad
together
last
now.
time. Okay.
I'm not saying.
Okay, the guy gets get arrested. Like the guy that got arrested.
Yeah.
Filming the girls in the mikveh. Like that's horrible. Right?
He's not engaged. He may be doing rituals without being engaged.
So then how do you engage people, right? Exactly. If you want to be engaged, right? You can be in all facets. And if you don't know how to get to people, then you're screwed.
But the bottom line is if the person themselves, for whatever reasons, doesn't pour it on.
But what is the water? Does the water?
No, I said the water's
okay.
There's a million ways to flavors of that.
But if they don't do all the juice?
It could also be poison.
If they
yes, but it doesn't mean you can't unpoison yourself later.
Or it could be Coke. It could be. I'm saying Coca-Cola, which is you have too much of that, you're not going to feel good. So basically, no, that's the sign of an ill person. An ill person actually doesn't know the foods that are healthy for him.
Right.
Right. So they go for the things that are bad for them. And then they become more ill until they actually have to do a detox.
And then the detox, there you go. And then they might pour some of the water.
Which is tshuva.
But it's their journey.
That's tshuva.
But there's not one way to do it. That's my proposal.
What do you mean not one way? Not one way to drink water?
There's not one way to do it. Like it doesn't have to be like straight up pulling out.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Right. Well, the thing is that there's a million different starting points, and different ways.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But it's not just like
we're saying the same thing. We're not saying.
Right? But sometimes it's packaged in a way that's like this always, and it's like.
Oh no! Yeah. Listen, I think what you're doing is great. Packaging is great, but you need to know what to package. You get what I'm saying? There could be sometimes so much packaging on something. What is it? You open it up, and it's like a little thing. Oh, he didn't give me anything. I thought you were going to give me something really good. But if you package it nicely, but you have, what's the whole point of the package is to open it up and to have the real product. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but the real product sometimes turns people off.
Why?
Why? Because
is what fluff? Did you say?
No, I said it turns people off.
The real God?
No.
No, I'm saying the way that some people are being engaged in the community pushes people away, and that's difficult. So then that's why you need other denominations and movements. It's a whole block.
I think don't look at other people. You have to look at yourself. You know what I'm saying?
You can only do your own part, and that's hard to do sometimes. You can only do for yourself, bro.
We didn't plan this before.
No, I know.
No, I got off. That's what happened. I had to go through my journey. And as I'm looking at all the journeys, and I'm looking at all the people of my age, and I'm looking at people older, I'm looking at people different things, I'm questioning.
Okay.
My kids are
Yeshua, Tali. Okay, we're gonna end now. But no. On a good note, it's like just 9. It's just that time. But I want to have a takeaway from this, right? And there's besides lighting Shabbos camp.
Yeah, right.
But we have all this Zohar over here. And by the way, I'm gonna give you my email. Was this package so bad? Tell me the truth. I mean, we're working on it.
I think it started off with less dialogue than I would have wanted to jump into. I like the dialogue part because for me, my LP does not let me do text.
Okay, but one second. Did I'm saying it was good. So if I was speaking to your friends, would I be turning them off?
You would lose them because some of them don't have the context to start the conversation.
I spoke to you in the context and some of them. But maybe you're not giving me the benefit of thinking that maybe I would be able to say it differently for them.
You could.
So I just broke the stereotype.
I mean, there's people that do it, but at the same time too, it's like where are they going to walk through the door? Like you have to.
When?
Like are they going to walk to the door to have that conversation? How are you going to connect to people who haven't been engaged with the
So maybe through Marvel Comics, maybe through having meeting whatever different circumstances, maybe. Right?
Stereotypes.
We're Chabad, by the way, and this you go to Chabad, awesome. So this Shabbos is the Kinus HaShluchim, right? They're coming from all over the world.
But they're not here. They're in the States.
They're united in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
and I mean, do you know how many millions of people are touched? So
I love Chabad. I do.
Right.
It's like my jam.
Exactly. So I'm saying that there you go. So that breaks all the stereotypes.
But I was able to walk through that door. I have friends who could not walk through that door.
You know what? Did you go in college to Chabad?
Yes, and I went to H, and I went to Hillel.
Do you know that some of the Chabad house Shabbos are the biggest?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
In all Gainesville, it's a friend of mine.
They're very welcoming.
400
and
awesome
I love Chabad.
kids.
I love Chabad. I talk about Chabad
on Friday night. Did you imagine cooking 400?
500 at what is it? What's
Binghamton?
the big Jewish school? No, Shabbat 500 at the big Jewish
all
school.
right.
I got you. Now you see me?
Yes, I see you. Okay, Zalman, what do you say? Okay, we got I feel that, I mean, listen, this has all been an unbelievable conversation, and it's all really, guys, everybody, what's your name?
Oh, did I miss the whole class?
No, but we just have more light in the world starting tomorrow, starting right now, because of Shiley's Holy Shabbos candles.
Right now? I like candles. I just don't do it unless this happens to be conveniently there.
Well, that's it. Do you want to bring more light? Guys, hello. Shiley, this whole class right now, and how many hundreds of people are right here, and this is being recorded. Yeah, and it's being recorded. And this is all basically coming down to Shabbos candles tomorrow. This is awesome.
Like I was going.
Okay.
Big energy.
Baruch Hashem. And I have 1% on my iPad. So I would like to wish everybody an awesome Shabbos.
Shabbat
and
shalom.
a lot of Shabbat Shalom, Steve. And iPad. Yeah. Sorry, Tali. No, next week. Now that you have the app, it's gonna work awesome. It's gonna work great. I have my app over here. Zoom
Okay,
app.
so what time is it? What time should I have signed on? Not 2:30?
1:30.
Oh, so it's an hour off. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We're working that. But Tali, everything's Ashkacha Prat, because if you would have been here, even listening to these conversations, it would have been fire, electricity. She teaches in Boca at times, but you guys would have hit it off without even knowing each other from the other side of the world.
Wow.
But this is amazing things. But I'm going to give you the email for that. So, anyways, God bless, Shabbat Shalom, and lots of light, lots of Shabbos light, and it should all this light should really bring us the Mashiach Tzidkenu, the well springs of Chassidus and the well springs of Baal Shem Tov and everything like that. It should all flow out. We should have the ultimate revelation. Mamish now.
Amen.
Eretz Yisrael, coming the base of Mikdash. Now, in a healthy way.